Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas from Exolvate Games team and welcome to a part 2 of creating skill tree system inspired by Gorka Games. So in the previous part we have created basically two of our classes, widget classes, and throughout the blueprint widgets we have created the appropriate look for those blueprint widgets. So in this part we are going to create the logic behind toggling on and off our skill tree widget. Okay, so yeah, let's basically get to work. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to basically open our character class. So we're going to open the .header class and also .cpp. Here in the .header we need to declare two new variables. Okay, so we are going to do that below the public. Okay, so let's do below this public right here. The first variable will be a specifiers of edit anywhere, and I'm going to show you why we are using here edit anywhere, and we're going to put it inside the UI category. So let me just see something. I want to take a look. Okay, so everything is pretty fine. I just want to take a look at categories of mine components of our variables actually. Now we need to declare our variable by typing the t sub class of and then this less than greater sign. In between them we need this user widget class, okay, because later we are going to choose it to be a type of user widget. Okay, so and I'm going to name it something like skill tree widget class. So later inside our character class, inside our blueprint character class, we will have one of our drop down menus. Basically that's why we are using edit anywhere, in order to be able to choose what element we want to choose as our skill tree widget class. And by declaring this subclass off, we are getting that drop down menu where we can just basically choose a specified class of this class right here. So now we need to basically declare another variable that will be also a class of user widget, and that is actually going to be a pointer. So don't forget this asterisk sign, and I'm going to name it something like skill tree widget. Okay, so this will be actually our widget. This will be actually a reference of our widget that we are going to add to our viewport and remove it also. Now let's basically compile our code, because I want to show you what is that drop-down menu that we have just declared. So I'm currently compiling my code by clicking Ctrl-Shift-B, and now I'm just going to launch my Unreal Engine by clicking Ctrl-F5 on my keyboard. So here we are inside our Unreal Engine. Now if I open my content drawer, open the third person folder, and after that open the blueprints folder, we will have this blueprint character class. So let's open the full blueprint editor. Okay, and here in the details panel we need to search for UI, and then we will have this UI category where we are having this drop down menu where we can choose what class is basically, or not a class, but which widget we are going to show on our screen. So we are going to show this bpw underscore skill tree, and we are just going to compile and save. Okay, now we need to basically do one thing. We need to create an input action for toggling our skill tree widget. So what is an input action? Basically that's a specified button on which we can basically open our skill tree and close it also. basically now if I begin my simulation and click the space, you will see that actually we are jumping, and for that jumping it is caused from the basically we are jumping because of input action that is set up by default in the Unreal editor. So yeah, basically that's the thing that we need to do now. How we are going to do that? Let's open our content drawer. We need to go to this input folder, and after that we need to open this actions folder. Okay, so there it is, this jump input action. Let's duplicate one of these. So I'm going to duplicate IA underscore move, and I'm going to name it something like IA underscore something like skill tree, toggle skill tree actually. So IA underscore toggle skill tree. I think that that's pretty alright. Let's open it and actually I think that that's pretty alright. So let me just check something. Okay, so we need to open this IA underscore toggle skill tree, and this value type we need to switch from axis 2D to digital bool. Okay, so don't forget that. Let's now save our input action and close it. And now the next thing that we need to do, we need to basically add this input action to our input mapping context. So let's open that input mapping context, and let's click on this arrow right next to these mappings. So let's click on it, and you will see that actually we have all of our input actions added. So let's add another one that is going to be actually our toggle skill tree input action. So let's save and finally let's close this input mapping context. So the next thing that we need to do, we need to basically go to our code editor, where we are going to type a few lines of codes that is going to trigger basically trigger the specified logic for toggling on and off our skill tree. Okay, so let's close our Unreal editor, and here you will see these variables that we have for our look action, move action, jump action. So now we need to declare another variable that will be for our toggle skill tree action. So toggle skill tree action. Okay, so that's pretty alright. Now let's copy that, or actually let's go to our setup player input component function, where we need to copy one of these lines. So let's just copy and paste one of those lines, and we need to change this trigger event. So basically this trigger event is how, or actually not how, but when our function, specified function, that is carrying the specified logic for basically toggling on and off our skill tree, how when we click our button, when it is going to be executed. So basically now if I basically get the trigger event that is started, I'm just going when I click my button, my specified button, that specified function is going to be executed. For example, if I basically choose this completed trigger event, my specified function is going to be executed whenever I stop with touching my button for basically toggling the skill tree. So yeah, I hope that you get the point, and I think that I have give you the good basics of these trigger events. So let's just basically choose this started trigger event. If you want to learn something more about these trigger events, I think that you can find the original Unreal Engine documentation on the web. So yeah, just search for them, and basically we need to declare a function that is going to be triggered whenever we click that specified button. But here we need to get this toggle skill tree action variable and paste it here, because we want to basically activate this toggle skill tree action and not our look action. So now let's just create a function, and we are going to do that below the public. So that function is going to have a name something like toggle skill tree. Okay, so let's basically create a definition, and by creating definition we are creating this code block where we can just type our logic for our toggle skill tree function, and whenever we call that function, that logic inside that code block is going to be executed. And here I'm just going to call the toggle skill tree function. Okay, so toggle skill tree. That is function that is going to be triggered whenever we click that specified button. Okay, so for now I'm going to print a simple string. So how you can print a string inside the Unreal Engine? So by getting the G engine, and from the G engine we need a function that is called add on-screen debug message. So here you need to type -1, that is basically a key, not an important thing. So the second one is basically time to display, so it is going to be displayed for 5 seconds long. The next thing is basically a color of our print string, and that is going to be basically red. And the next one is a text of that print string. So I'm just going to type something like test. I think that that's pretty alright. We're just trying to test out if our input action is working or not. So basically now I think that we can compile our code and launch our Unreal Engine to test it out. So let's compile our code, and after that let's launch our Unreal Engine. So here we are inside our Unreal Engine. The next thing that we need to do in order to test it out, our input action, is to actually go to our blueprint character class. Let's open the full blueprint editor, and here on the right side let's search for input. Okay, and you will see that actually here we have this drop down menu where for our toggle skill tree action we need to choose the so not a shortcut, but input action that is going to be triggered, and that is this input action right here. So that's why we have declared that one variable with this name. So let's compile and let's save it. And also the very last thing before testing it out that I have noticed is that we didn't actually set up the button on which we are going to toggle our skill tree. So let's open our content drawer. Let's click on input folder, or actually let's open it. Let's open our input mapping context, and on this arrow for our input action let's choose a button. So I'm going to choose a tab. I think that that is a good button for now. You can choose something different, and if I open this for example input action move, you will see that by default in the Unreal editor you have all of these buttons set up. Okay, so try not to override them. So now let's save our input mapping context, and finally let's test it out. So if I click my button, okay, so in the top left corner you will see that every time when I click my tab button, the print string will be shown. So it is basically saying the text test, not a text but test. And yeah, basically that's a sign that our input action is working. So I have said many things in a short period of time, so guys, please, if anything isn't clear, feel free to reach to us throughout our Discord server, or basically you can write a comment down below and our team is going to help you. Okay, so now we can continue with our user widgets. Now throughout this input action we need to to create a toggle logic for our skill tree widget. So we have actually selected inside our blueprint character class. So we have selected what widget is going to be shown. Okay, so that is this BPW, so blueprint widget underscore skill tree. Let's compile it, and now let's basically close our Unreal Engine. And now the next thing that we need to do is to add our blueprint widget to our viewport. So how we are going to do that? We need to go to our skill tree system character.header. We need to get this skill tree widget class, and the first thing that we need to do is here inside the begin play. We need to check if that skill tree widget class is valid or not, or basically if we have chosen something inside that drop down menu in our Unreal editor. So if we have didn't choose anything for our skill tree widget class, then nothing is going to happen. We have avoided the potentially crash, and yeah, everything is pretty nice. We are just avoiding crashes. So now we need to get this skill tree widget that is going to be a reference of our widget that we are showing on our screen, and we need to get a function that is called create a widget, but actually we are not getting the suggestions for that create widget function. Why is that? That is because we need to include basically the user widget library. So now we have included this user widget library, and now we are getting all the functions that go along with the user widget. Okay, user widgets. So we are currently creating that widget. So we need to pass in two parameters. The first one is world context, or basically a world where our character is, and the second one we need to pass in this skill tree widget class, or basically a T subclass of variable, or actually a drop-down menu inside our Unreal editor. And basically, with the help of this edit anywhere specifier, we are succeeding with choosing the blueprint widget that is going to be basically shown. And let's get this skill tree widget class, and I'm going to pass in here. So now we need to add that skill tree widget to a viewport. But another thing that we need to do, because if we now basically open our Unreal Engine and start the simulation, our skill tree is going to be shown by the default. So even if that's added to viewport, we need to set visibility to be collapsed. So we from the enumeration a slate visibility. We need to choose collapsed, and by the default, whenever we begin our simulation, it is going to be collapsed. So now we need to basically expand this toggle skill tree function. So let's delete this print shrink, because we have already tested it out. We saw that our function is working, and our input action is working pretty fine. So the first thing that we are going to check is the same thing like we have did here. So we are checking if this skill tree widget class is valid or not, or basically if it's empty or not. And we are here using the truthy values. So it is also basically like doing this. So not equal null pointer. So yeah, if it's not a null pointer, then this few lines of code are going to be executed. We are just now using the truthy value, and now we need to basically we need to declare a variable that is going to be a boolean, and along with that boolean, we are going to check if our skill tree is shown on our screen or not. So we are going to do that below this protected. We can do that by typing bool, and then we're just going to name it something like toggle toggled skill tree. Okay, and now we need to actually go back to our .header file and initialize this boolean to be true, so it is going to have a default value of true. And actually I'm going to rename this boolean to be b can toggle skill tree, or just b can toggle. Okay, and that is pretty fine. So I think that that's a better name. So if it is telling us if it can toggle our inventory or not. So maybe you can give it some better name, but yeah, it is actually going to do the right work for us. So let's let's get that boolean, and now we need to check if that boolean is true or not, and if it's true, we're going to initialize that boolean to be false. And now if that boolean is true, we are just going to for our skill tree widget, we are going to set visibility to be basically visible. So from the aslate visibility enumeration, we need to get the visible, and if this beacon toggle boolean is not true, we are going to initialize that to be that boolean to be true. And we are going to set the visibility of our skill tree widget to be collapsed. Okay, so to be collapsed, and yeah, this is the way that we can toggle our skill tree widget. So let's compile our code in order to see if there's any errors, and also let's launch our Unreal Engine, because I want to check if for now everything is working pretty fine. So now if I basically begin the simulation and click my tab, you will see that actually we are showing our skill tree widget, and that is a really cool thing. So now if I click again my tab or basically input action button for the toggling our skill tree widget, you will see that actually I'm closing it also. So yeah, we are toggling our skill tree widget, and we have succeeded with that. So there are a few last things for this part that we need to do. So you will see that actually when we move our mouse, you will see that also our camera of our third-person character is moving, and the cursor is not shown, and because of that we will not be able to unlock any of our skills, or to select the skill that we want to unlock. Okay, so how we can fix that? We need to close our Unreal Engine, and here we need to basically get a player controller reference. So how we are going to do that? We need to basically first declare a variable where our get player where our player controller reference is going to be stored. So we are going to do that inside the .header file, because like I said, we are declaring the variables and the functions inside that .header function. So we are going to do that below the protected, and it needs to be a class of a player controller. It is also going to be a pointer, and I'm going to name it something like a get player controller. I don't know, maybe you know about that, maybe you don't, but in the blueprints you have a macro, or actually not a macro, but pure function that is called the get player controller, that is basically getting you the player controller reference. So yeah, that's interesting things. You have that in blueprints, and right now we are doing that inside in C++ actually. So now let's go to our begin play. and below this skill tree widget, below this check, we need to paste that get player controller variable, and now we need to give it a value to basically specify the reference inside that player controller of our inside that variable get player controller of our player controller. How we are going to do that? We are going to do throughout the gameplay statics library. So we need to include that library from the Kismet folder, and we need to get we need to search for gameplay statics. So now we need to type get player controller equals u gameplay statics, and from the gameplay statics we need a function that is called get player controller. So we need to pass in two parameters, two values. First one is first one is world context, and the second one is player index. So it is going to be the 0, and now we are getting the player controller. So now let's get that get player controller variable, and let's fix the bug that we are currently having. So now we are going to paste this get player controller, and we need to first set the input mode, and we are going to here set the input mode to be F input mode game only. Okay. And here, whenever we want to collapse our skill tree widget, we want the input mode to be F input mode game only. Okay, so game only. And another thing that we need to do, we need to get a function that is called set show mouse cursor. Okay, so we are not actually getting any suggestions for any function. So I have actually mistyped, but now if I basically delete this whole line and again this get player controller and type this minus greater, you will see that now we are getting this function that is called this setter function that is called set show mouse cursor, and now basically we need just to pass in true. So whenever our skill tree is visible, we want from our mouse to be visible, and whenever it is collapsed, we want just to hide our mouse. So yeah, actually I hope that now we have fixed the bugs that we had with our widget. So let's now compile our code and launch our Unreal Engine in order to test it out. So now if I begin my simulation, now if I click my tab, you will see that actually our mouse is shown, and we can click our buttons, we can click those skill widgets that we have attached to our skill tree widget. But if I click my tab again, you will see that here I'm actually moving the position of my camera around my character. So why is that? Let me just check it out. Okay, so I have actually here mistyped and my mistake, so sorry about that, guys. The input mode that here we need is F input mode game and UI. So that is the input mode that we need, and let's again launch our Unreal Engine in order to test it out. And now finally, if I begin the simulation, click my tab, you will see that now by the default I'm not actually moving the camera around my playable character. So I can click on my skill widgets that are attached to my skill tree widget. So the one thing that we can do actually, if I here drag and basically move my mouse, we can rotate the camera around our character, but don't worry about that, guys. We need to use one override function, and we are going to do that in the next part. that just needs to be handled, and that is a really easy thing. Don't worry about that, guys. We're going to fix that in the next part. But I wanted to do the thing so it by default we are not actually moving our camera around our playable character, and now we can just click on our skills. So currently we don't have any logic for unlocking the skills, but don't worry, guys. We are in part 2. We have still we have work ahead of us to do. So don't worry. This skill tree system will be really good on the end of this series. So yeah. That is basically it. We have did all the work that we had for this part. Please, guys, if you have any suggestions for this system, for expanding this system, comment down below. Just tell your ideas to us, and maybe your idea can appear in this system. So. That's basically it. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and if anything isn't clear, feel free to ask us in the comments, and we are going to help you about the thing that is confusing you. So, see you in the next part.